going down in the salt mines. Ooh, very spooky. Seems like we're going down in a giant hole. We have arrived at last, an experience of a lifetime with salt all around us. I never imagined that salt mines were so beautiful. 1,200 feet below. This is as far down as I ever want to go in this life or the next. Look at those huge bulldozers pushing tons of salt. Reminds me of a science fiction movie I once saw. This is my good friend, Gil Elrod, and he's the plant manager at the Cargill Salt Mines in Avery Island. And Gil, it's been a pleasure being here. It's been a wonderful experience, just fantastic. So how long have you been in operation here?
Well, this dome has been continuously mined since 1898.
Wow, that's a long time. Right.
Continuously mining, that's right.
And how large is it?
Well, the dome itself is actually about 1.5 miles in rough circular diameter. It's a little over 45,000 feet deep.
Wow, we almost went that deep, I think, this morning.
Well, not quite.
Well, not quite. Well, what kind of salt comes out of this?
We mine salt for the chemical industry. We mine salt for the road de-icing industry, for the agricultural industry, also for the drilling oil mud.
Oh, right, okay.
Industry.
So you really put out a lot of salt for a lot of wonderful products here on the island. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, very good.
Look at those sparkles. This is awesome, just unbelievable. Who would ever think that below us on the coast of Louisiana there would be such a treasure? Our salt domes contribute to so many industries that affect our daily lives. I didn't run into too many Cajuns down here. Guess they're all at the Fado Dough. In the darkness on the ground, I almost feel like I'm gazing at the stars in the sky. Now, what surprised me that table salt didn't come from this salt mine operation. Another process is used to retrieve this salt that we use in cooking. I'll take you to that refinery in just a bit. But first, let me show you how I like to cook my eggplant, which will accommodate my cabbage rolls. And this is the salt piece that I picked up at the salt mines. Really was impressive. Now, I've got my grease real hot here, which is very important. And I've got my eggplant. I've already partially peeled it. And to show you how to peel an eggplant, you just take it just like this. It's very easy to do. Be careful, don't cut yourself. All right? And then I like to slice it. I like to slice it kind of not too thin, because I love that eggplant. So I just kind of cut it up like this, which is just about this thickness. So then, of course, I've whipped some eggs here. You run it through coat it real good. And the egg here. Then you put it in flour, and you coat that real well with the flour. All right, I'm going to use these pieces. And of course, my grease is hot, and my onions are telling me that because they're sizzling. That serves a twofold purpose. It tells me when my grease is ready. Put this a little higher, because you do not want to really cook this too low, because it'll really absorb the grease in there. You don't want your eggplants to be greasy. All right. Now, I never season my flour when I cook eggplants, because when my eggplants are through cooking, that's when I season my eggplants with salt and pepper. Only salt and pepper. I'm going to do this. I guess I can put a few in there. Very good. Oh, I love this. This is very, very good. But you need to eat these right after they're cooked. So you don't want them to get cold. All right. You get a good golden brown. That's my favorite. Okay. Now, got these done. So while this is cooking, I'm going to teach you how I like to make a very special salad dressing, which is just wonderful. You can make this and keep it in the refrigerator. The longer you refrigerate it, the better it gets. First of all, you add some onions in, standby, the little pint jar. Every kitchen has got to have a jar, okay? onions, and of course this is celery. This is bell pepper. Just throw everything in the jar, and you can put as much as you want. Got some garlic. I like a lot of garlic. Okay. Of course, you've got your olives, your chopped up olives, very fine. Oops. Of course, this is olive oil. I like a lot of olive oil. Okay. Now we're going to add some Worcestershire. And this is anchovies. A lot of people don't like anchovies, but I promise you, you'll love it in here. This is lemon juice, thyme, which I need a lot of that on my hands. Oregano, put that, marjoram, and rosemary. So we put this all together. Shake, 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 real good. See, I'm good at shaking. You just, woo! Get the cover out, of course. Throw it on top, and you toss it real well. It's wonderful. It's great. Now, my eggplants are browning real well, so I'm going to flip them over and take them out of the pot. Always taking salt for granted, but not anymore. I finally learned exactly where it came from and what it took to process it.
Another learning experience that I really enjoyed was visiting the salt refinery. That's where one of my seasonings comes from. It's quite a different operation from the salt mines. Basically, the salt is extracted from a well. First, plain salt is pumped down into the salt dome. Then salt water is extracted from the well and pumped into brine tanks.
We're at Mission Control at Cargyle Refinery in Breaux Bridge, and this is the plant manager and my good friend, Gene Schaaf. And Gene, how long have you been working here?
I've been here about 15 years.
Wonderful. How long has the plant been in operation?
The original facility was built around 1942, and that was originally the Gardy Salt Company. It's a family out of New Iberia that owned it.
Yes.
Cargill purchased it in '71, and we completely rebuilt it in '80, and went through another rebuild in '94 and '95.
Great. And what kinds of salt do you produce here?
This is an evaporated salt plant, and what we make is completely different from what you saw on the ground. This is generally high purity salt, table salt that you would normally cook with.
Right, what I use on my show, right?
Yes, ma'am. And we produce salt for food processors, pharmaceutical companies, and the oil field uses a lot of salt.
And you told me the dyeing was used also, the dyeing industry used
Yes,
salt.
ma'am.
That's wonderful.
Yes, the textile people use salt and when they dye clothes because salt is cheap and it helps the dye go into the fabric.
That is great. Well, I tell you, Gene, I have learned so much from you today. This has been a very interesting visit, and thank you so much for having it. We really appreciate that.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
The finished products are flour salt for baking, crystal salt for crackers and pretzels, table salt for seasoning, and salt pellets for water softeners. Shake, shake, shake. This is the biggest salt shaker I've ever seen. Just a little too big for my kitchen.